So we know that high frequency words are the words that are the ones that we most frequently say, read and write. So what's good about that is that if they're easy words to read, like the word and, 3 sounds, that's decodable, and it's decodable in the simplest terms. So we have simple decodable texts, and that they increase in complexity and is easy to read and spell. But when we talk about our high frequency words, many of the high frequency words that we come across that we need to be able to read and spell early are not as easy to decode because they have irregular spelling patterns. So because of this, sometimes that can make reading harder, but it's very important that we include high frequency word instruction from the beginning of reading. And the way this works in decodables is that there will always be a small number of these high frequency words alongside the decodables, because we need these words to make sentences make sense. So if we start with decoding, and we usually start with 2 sound words and 3 sound words. So for example, if I've got the letters M-A-S-T-P-I, and I take some of those words and I put them together, I might put together the word it to make pit. I might have it, okay, which is 2 sounds, it, and then I'll put that together. Because I've already learnt those graphemes, I'm not going to have any problem reading the high frequency word it. But when I come to the word is, I can see the word is, I know how to say the word is because it's already part of my vocabulary. But when I look at it, I see the I and the S, and I think I hear the Z sound, which I haven't necessarily already learned, that it can make a different sound there. So that's where the instruction is really important, to come in at that point and say, yep, we can see this is the word is, it has 2 sounds, I, Z, and this one we're going to use the letter S because S can also say Z. You'll learn more of that later. And most children will go, fine, that's fine. They accept that because they're already learning. And if we tell them that, you know, that the letters make more than 1 sound and we're learning this set for now, and then keep going with reading whatever the other words are. So it's a small amount of instruction, but it's a very, very important part of instruction to ensure that children understand how to read those words. The other part that's really important with high frequency words then is that because they're not always regular in the way that you would segment and blend them, they need more practice, which means that we need to reinforce our reading of these words in the same way that we would with other decodable words. We would segment them first, blend them first, and then practice reading them with automaticity so that we can read and spell those words. And the beauty of that is you're learning to read and spell at the same time, which is much more efficient. What we've got to make sure we do when we're teaching high frequency words is that we, first of all, know what they are, and second of all, know what they can also be called. So quite often we call them sight words. And the whole point of a sight word is to be able to recognize it automatically by sight. So when we talk about how we want to teach these words, we've got to make sure that we teach these words in a similar way that we teach decoding. We still need to look at the word and say, what are the individual speech sounds or phonemes that we have in this word? We need to be able to segment and blend it, and we need to be able to acknowledge that it's not necessarily what we expect to be reading. When we first read an irregular word, we're going to get different looking graphemes to what we might be expecting. And that requires more explicit instruction and really good modelling of how to read the word and how to segment and blend it. So you'll still use your segmenting and blending skills when you read a high frequency word, but in order to be able to read the word correctly the first time, it's important that it is modelled and taught explicitly.